Susan Rice is our UN ambassador, and apparently she was being considered for the top spot at State Department. So Secretary of State, obviously a very important position. John McCain went after her very aggressively for saying things that turned out to be a little misleading about Benghazi. I actually agreed with him on some of that criticism. She went on some of the Sunday talk shows and said that an attack on our consulate in Benghazi might have been due to the video that was, of course, at the time inflaming Muslims throughout the Middle East. Now, turned out that was not accurate, and I thought it was curious that she went in that direction because it looked like it was a coordinated attack. But there was, of course, a second reason why the Republicans went after her, and it is because they wanted the second possibility for a nomination for Secretary of State to get it instead. And who is that? It's John Kerry. Well, why would they want that? Well, if John Kerry leaves to become Secretary of State, well, in 2014, they have to have another election in Massachusetts. And the Republicans believe that Scott Brown has an excellent chance of winning that election, so they might be able to pick up a seat. So they piled on. Lindsey Graham came out, Kelly Ayotte came out, and they all attacked Susan Rice over and over again. President Obama defended her during the campaign and said, "You're going to have to come through me." And as you might have been able to tell by the graphic, Susan Rice is done. She came out with a statement today saying that she will not seek the position. In fact, here it is, quote, "If nominated, I am now convinced that the confirmation process would be lengthy, disruptive, and costly to you and our most pressing national and international priorities. The trade-off is simply not worth it to our country. Therefore, I respectfully request that you no longer consider my candidacy at this time." So weird. The Democrats give up without a fight. That's got to be a first time. I'll tell you. Wow. Color me shocked. So, of course, it reminded me of 28 other times that the same exact thing has happened. We'll just give you Van Jones' resignation later, but like I said, I can give you at least a dozen examples like this. Remember when he resigned from the White House, he said, "I came here to fight for others, not for myself. I cannot in good conscience ask my colleagues to expend precious time and energy defending or explaining my past. We need all hands on deck fighting for the future." It's always, oh, for the better good. Oh, my. Whenever the Republicans attack them, they say, "How dare you? Tear them down." The Democrats always say, "Well, it's a distraction, and we didn't want to cause a distraction, and the nation is more important, and so we stepped down and decided not to have the fight." Now, some are saying, including Andrea Mitchell, that this might not work out for the Republicans because it looks like the Republicans are, bringing down an African-American woman, and when they had a problem, obviously, with the African-American vote, but so significantly with the women vote too, and then perhaps then people are twisting that and going, genius strategery by President Obama. By letting the Republicans beat him in the nominee that he wanted, he sets up a great advantage. But wait a minute, if that's true, think about this. If they had actually nominated her and she goes up in front of the hearings and all these old white Republican men attack her on TV, wouldn't that have been a better visual if you wanted to drive that message home that the Republicans are against minorities and women? There's no strategery here. As usual, it's a Democratic cave-in. And look, in this case, it might have been slightly wise because I don't think they're right about Benghazi. So maybe they just didn't want to get into that topic at all. But the president has his usual response here. He says, "While I deeply regret the unfair and misleading attacks on Susan Rice in recent weeks, her decision demonstrates the strength of her character and an admirable commitment to rise above the politics of the moment to put our national interests first." As usual. How strong to give up, to not even try, to say, "Republicans, you win again." How very, very strong. Nonsense. So if this was the only time that this happened, or the first time that it happened, I would say, hey, listen, look, there's a lot of considerations here. It's not that big a deal. You put John Kerry in there. You'll fight in 2014 in Massachusetts. I understand it. But this isn't the first time. This is the 128th time. They do it again and again. Whenever the Republicans growl, the administration gives up. We're going to talk about Gitmo later. In Guantanamo Bay, they're now rubbing it in the president's face. Kelly Ayotte saying, "Hey, listen, man, every time we fight, Obama gives in. So I decided that we're not going to let him close down Gitmo forever." They were doing it 1 year at a time. She's like, "What's he going to do, fight us?" They just lost the election, and they're spitting in your face. By the way, how does President Obama respond? It looks like his nominee for the Secretary of Defense is going to be a Republican. Of course, of course it is. Chuck Hagel of Nebraska. Now look, there's much more obnoxious Republicans out there, and Chuck Hagel as Secretary of Defense doesn't bother me that much. Again, if it was in isolation, I'd say, hey, you know what, if you're going to go for a Republican in any position, Hagel there makes some sense. But it's not in isolation. Look, what did the Democrats do every time? Bill Clinton is president. He picks Cohen, who's a Republican, as his Secretary of Defense. Then Obama becomes president. He stays with Secretary Gates, who's a Republican, as his Secretary of Defense. Then finally, we have a Democratic Secretary of Defense, Leanne Panetta, and then he goes back to a Republican. So what message is he sending? We suck at national security. If you really want to keep the country safe, even Democrats agree you should go with Republicans. So if you thought after the election that the unilateral surrenders were done with, go. We're just getting warmed up, okay? If you thought there was a new era, yeah, I got news for you, okay? It's a lot more fried rice coming in our direction.